Okay, I'm going to take you through this other Nearpod. Obviously, you don't need that one anymore. So this was the other thing that some folks were struggling with. And so here's how you would do it. Your answers are turned in through Nearpod. I forked over some cash and paid for the advance subscription from them so that I can do all my, I can look at everything you write there and you can turn it in through there. So, anywho, you would click this, bing, and then this would open. Um, and then you would put your name there to join the session. So if your name is Dr. Poop, you would put Dr. Poop and then Sir Dr. Poop. And then you click join session. So once you click that, this lesson is on the fundamentals of nonviolence made by Dr. King. And let's not forget, it is Bayard Rustin who taught that. But anywho, let's start the lesson. You want to read through these. This is your principles. There's 6 principles of nonviolence. And then you would click this. And what would come up is it's asking you, what are examples? So if you can't remember, you're like, I don't remember an example. Let's look at the first one. Nonviolence is active resistance and it is aggressive. So aggressive nonviolence. What would my example of aggressive nonviolence be? Let's say, or your example, I think we talked about this. Let's say I wanted to bulldoze your house and I was showing up with my bulldozer to tear apart your house. And then what you did was sit in, this would be example 1, sorry. You sit in front of my bulldozer. Now, this is obviously a very lame, short answer, and yours should be better, but that's an example. Just whatever you can try to think of that's aggressive nonviolence. Okay, now we move on. What I did is I made sure to track down some really good documentary films. This is probably one of the most famous, or maybe the most famous ever made on civil rights, called Eyes on the Prize. And the one we're looking at is people who were going to jail. I had to break it up because I had to upload it to YouTube. And so I broke it up into 2 parts. So there's part 1, because remember, you have to have like a 15-minute limit. And then there's part 2. And I made sure to put the subtitles there. Once you're done with that, it'll quickly ask you some examples. So in other words, as you were looking through it, hopefully there was some examples that you saw from there of nonviolence, and you would just put those in there. So for example, sitting at a counter waiting for food, even though it's not going to come to me, that's an example of nonviolent protest. It's a sit-in. Okay, now there's 2 more. And this one I really want you to think about. So this one says, what is the difference between a custom, a law, and an attitude? 3 different things. So write that. And then can you recall any specific examples of customs, laws, or attitudes that changed as a result of nonviolent protest? Just think about, think where you can eat. That's a big one. Which of these do you think the protesters were trying to change? Were they trying to change a custom, a law, or an attitude? Or maybe they were trying to change more. Maybe they were trying to change more. In the fight against injustice, do you think it is more important to change laws or attitudes? Or both equally important? So that's a really good breakdown of questions there. I liked that one. And then the last open-ended question is this one. Identify an example of injustice. So can we think of any examples of injustice right now? I think there's probably plenty we could think of happening everywhere in the United States and the world. Using the 6 steps of nonviolent social change as a guide, chart out an action plan of how you might challenge this injustice. So maybe our big one here in California is still housing. So maybe you could think about that and like how to move forward, or environmental justice, or anything else that you think of. What do you do first? Who might you talk to? Where might you get information? And what action might you take? And then once you're done, you'll click submit, and it will put everything on Nearpod for me to look at over my spring break, since I will not be flying anywhere for the foreseeable future. I will be here to look at your work. Okay, bye.